there are major events or announcements being made. The federal government has made an announcement. Today, the federal government has set up a transition council, which will be headed by the secretary to the government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa. The purpose of this is to institutionalize a legal framework that will enable a seamless transition from a Bwala government to the next presidency. And there will be an inauguration of that council on the 14th of February, which is Valentine's Day. So some people will be busy other than doing Valentine. Inaugurating that. So the NUC is another announcement that came out of the federal government today, saying there will be a closure of all schools for 20 days. And the order is simple: shut down all schools. Academic activities will be suspended for the time being for these days, beginning on the 2nd of February to the 14th of March, after the last election. The last election will be governorship and state assembly elections, which will be on the 11th. So students will be able to come back after the 14th. And the concerns of the federal government is that there are concerns over security, majorly, of staff, the school and the facilities. And the institutions affected are all universities and inter-university centers across the nation, to be shut down from the 22nd to the 14th of March. Don't forget some of the elections that will happen on the February the 25th, presidential election, National Assembly election, and these are the seats up for grabs in the National Assembly. 109 seats in the Senate and 360 seats in the House of Reps. The presidency is just one constituency across the country. Look at it. If you belong in any of these, prepare your mind to know where your demography is so that you can prepare yourself to go and vote on election day. But I'll begin my conversation tonight with my next guest, who is a spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party and a lawyer, Mr. Daniel Bwala. Daniel, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This is where we begin our conversation. If you look at the figure here, the APC controls 21 states presently. Your party controls 14 states. I've got 1 state. And I'll ask you, it's been a long battle, campaigns, and you've been having back and forth with the APC. How has it been from the start of the campaign up until now? Are things swinging in the way of your party presently, or things look a bit difficult for you?
No, things are actually swinging because, for example, the whole gamut of the campaign is about selling your product, right? And of course, you know that after every season of election is what they call referendum. Like if you serve 1 term and 2nd term, then the people will look at your 8 years and judge it against what you said you were going to do. In other words, you don't have any reason to give excuse. So if you look at what APC promised Nigeria 8 years ago, and you look at where we are today and whether the promises have been fulfilled, that will answer the question that definitely the Nigerian people, who are not stupid anyway, they know how to make decisions. They are not going to vote APC. But we went beyond that to sampling that opinion in our engagement, which was the reason why we were involved in debate, we were involved in campaign and rallies and engagement with people. And I can tell you that APC is a shadow of itself. APC is a damaged goods. It's an expired product. Nobody can look at Nigeria today, look at the security situation in Nigeria, look at whether or not Nigeria is corrupted in terms of public officers corrupting themselves, or look at the economy and will give APC any mark. If I have to borrow the assessment of their candidate, he says it's F8, and we don't know whether there is anything like F8, but you see, it's F9. That's how you will score them. So, and talking about the APC controlling 21 states and PDP 14, and it does not really follow. And all you need to do is just travel back to 2015. PDP was controlling the greater part of the states in the country, and yet Buhari came. Some of the governors that even won election in 2015, were it not for the influence of Buhari, they may not have even won House of Rep, not to talk of Senate. So, and this is the assessment period of APC. And that is why you can never use this number of governors controlling states to arrive at the conclusion whether that gives APC a chance.
So there could be a repeat of 2015, that's what you're saying?
Yes, there's going to be a repeat, and even much more. Because in 2015, it was a movement where people looked at PDP and said, look, Nigeria is getting into trouble. and you have not been able to provide a path or solution to it. Now, in 2023, it is much more than that. Because in 2015, the problem was just insecurity. Nigeria was the largest economy in Africa. And there were other aspects of the country that people were relatively okay. In this 2023, in terms of insecurity, nowhere is safe. Not even the capital city. When you come to the economy, that's another ball game. You heard about ways and means, you heard about 70 trillion. You are here seeing Nigerians all over the place is suffering. And then if you come to, that's the economy, the security, and if you come to anti-corruption, for the first time in the history of the country, birds swallow money, monkeys swallowed money, insects swallowed money. It has never happened. Corruption became institutionalized in such a manner and dimension. Imagine a public officer, 100 and something billion found. And let me say this, EFCC as an institution has tried its best, but EFCC is overwhelmed, in my view, by the kind of attachment that you see from the political party. APC does not stand a chance. I'm just being honest. That is why, if you have seen lately, they have just resorted into this kind of situation where you see somebody who knows he's dying and is so desperate. We call it anthrophobic.
So, Daniel, because I know you are very you're not analytical in your mind.
Right.
So we saw your the APC here today in Sokoto,
correct,
which is a very big deal as far as the Northwest is concerned. This region of the country is the big deal, the Northwest region of the country. So APC was in Sokoto today. The PDP was in Kano today. And it means one thing, that you have your eyes fixated on the Northwestern vote.
Correct.
How much of that can your party muscle right now? If you look at it, most of that place is what you see as blue. And where you have your strength is South-South and the Southeast traditionally, and no one can also take it away from the fact that PDP has held sway over the last few election cycles in the lower part of the Nigerian map. But if you look at it now, 5 of those states are now tilting towards the opposition. They are not on the side of Atiku Abubakar. What is that telling you?
So this is it. Now, most of the states in the Northwest, you say they are blue, which explains why he calls it Bwala blue. But I'm telling you, this is going to be a Northwest different from Bwala blue. And let me explain to you. Now, there is not a single state in the Northwest that is happy with APC. Do you know why? They are traditionally farmers. Go point at any state in the Northwest now and tell me if the people can go to their farms. As a matter of fact, it is not just about farming, which they can no longer go. It has even aggravated to the point where bandits in the Northwest send messages to villages and ask them to send their wives to the bandit. And after 2 weeks, they are going to take them back. Have you not noticed? Even as powerful as President Buhari is, he will appear in states in the Northwest, and the kind of energy and reaction you get is different. Let me predict, and you can call me after election, the entire Northwest we are going to win the entire Northwest. If we lose, it will be 1 state. And even then, we still have our ways to make it before then. Not a single state in the northern Nigeria, PDP will miss. That's what I want you to know. There is a polling.
Out of the 19 states in the northern Nigeria.
Out of the 19 states in the northern Nigeria. If there is anybody that might create a little bit of problem, it is Labour Party. It is not APC.
So you see, in 2011, this was how the election went, this way. You saw Goodluck Jonathan winning most of the South. And his opposition, main opposition, winning most of the North. And you see, switch it over in 2015. You saw most of the North also being won by Muhammadu Buhari. He repeated that also in 2019. With the emergence of Peter Obi of the Labour Party, a lot of people had thought that a lot will change in the dynamics of our political map. There are a lot of places or region of the country that things will swing around, and a Kwankwanso effect in Jigawa, in Kano, cannot be taken away. Even if it doesn't win all, perhaps it will have a very strong outing in those states. These are some of the question marks that a lot of the political analysts are thinking that PDP might have a shaky footing in these areas.
But that's what the problem is. People have given a one-side analysis of this. They don't look at the flip side. Look at the flip side. Peter Obi is a Southerner. And if Peter Obi is going to get votes in the southern Nigeria, whose vote is it going to affect? The vote, obviously, of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, look at the movement of the young people. And I can tell you that because I am a Christian. And I know on the basis of the feelings of the Christian people in the entire Southwest, where Tinubu is likely to get votes, the people are not going to, including his kin folks, they are not going to vote for him. They will vote for Peter Obi because of that resentment and sentiment that they feel. Now, you come to the north. When Tinubu started with this ticket, he thought that it will sell in the north. But as time went on, the people were more analytical in their mind, and they discovered that, look, let's go to the bigger picture and forget about state and local government. Are we prepared to have a president that will say something now in the next 3 minutes he can't remember? Somebody will have to fill up the space. Are we going to have a president that will show up in a meeting now and you won't see him after 3 weeks? We've seen the movie before. Are we going to have a president who has not been able to answer the question relating to drug-related cases that people have leveled allegation against him? Above all else, are we prepared at this time for a president that does not have in his heart the capacity to unite Nigeria? What singular thing has Tinubu done that suggests unity? This was somebody who said, I never believe in Nigeria. This was somebody who tried to divide the North and the South on the basis of religion. This is somebody from the South has wanted to divide the South along ethnic lines. Now, he does not have the capacity or the temperament of one who will unite Nigeria. We're even talking about unity. Now, let's talk about economy. This is somebody who he will try to replicate what he did in Lagos, in Abuja. Now, what did he do in Lagos? The Alpha Beta, his company, took over the state revenue collection. If he becomes president, FIRS will be taken over by Alpha Beta. Now, reflect other things. When they say his wife supplied diesel, translate it to the national. When they say his son managed billboard, translate it to the national. It becomes a dynasty rather than a democratic government where everybody will have a feel of Nigeria. So if you look at it from left, right, center, from character and fitness, from intellectualism, from mental stability, from agility, from the sense of unity, he does not stand a chance. But look at this is how the people are interpreting it. If you go to the South, the vice presidential candidate of PDP is from the South. Are they going to leave their brothers? Are they going to leave their brother? If you go to the Southeast, they would rather come with PDP because the vice presidential candidate of PDP is an Igbo person. But in APC, they wanted to deny the Igbos. Do you know what they did? They instigated all the Igbos in the party to run for president. Every state have 2 presidential candidates. In Ebonyi, you have Mazi Onu, and then you have Dave Umahi. You come to Imo, you have Mwajuba, you have Rocha Sokorocha. That's how they instigated all of them and confused them out. They don't have a place there. And the Southeast, if there is any party they can claim ownership, is PDP. Are they going to be senseless? Or go to a party that does not have a structure? There's no definition of a future? Somebody that after the day of election, he's going to even abandon them? Are you going to leave that? So the South and the Southeast, I can tell you, we might lose 1 or 2 votes to him, but convincingly we're going to get the South and the Southeast.
So you don't see, I know that the way you feel or the way both your party and the APC feel about each other, right. You try to cancel each other, and I've tried never to get in between, because when politicians are throwing that at each other, you know how to settle your scores. But the question is, those who raise a question mark and say, look, you cannot dispute Bola Tinubu's track record as a 2-term governor in Lagos State and the legacy they say that he has laid in Lagos State. Right. Can you also dismiss Peter Obi and the steam that has come with him, with young Nigerians, and the kind of outings that he has gotten and the kind of support that he has gotten? See him as a third leg in the race. Mm-hmm. See him as a new force in the race, but he's a force, isn't it?
Peter Obi is a third force, but Peter Obi is not revolutionary. Peter Obi cashed into a movement, an agitation by young people who feel they need a different path. And then what Peter Obi did, he was a member of PDP, was running. If he had gotten a ticket, he wouldn't have gone there. Even after he left, he didn't go to Labour. He was scouting for a political party, right? The reason why I don't bother much about Peter Obi, let me tell you today, by my discipline of law, Peter Obi, as we speak today, is running as an independent candidate. He is not a member of Labour Party.
The Constitution does not recognize independent
so that tells you he's not.
So he has a political party, Labour Party.
So let me tell you what I mean by that. The electoral had made it clear you have a limited time within which you submit the list of registered members. At the time Peter Obi joined them for the presidential race, the list of registered members of Labour had already been submitted to INEC. If you go to INEC now, you summon them and you ask for the register, you cannot see the name of Peter Obi. And the Electoral Act says it is only a political party that will sponsor a candidate.
But there was that case went to court, and the court, 2 days ago, the court threw that matter out.
On this ground,
on this
whether
matter, yes.
So I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. But if you
find out, yeah.
I haven't heard that. So if you move away from there to what can he do? Now let's come down. Where will Peter Obi win? He cannot win one state in the north, the entire north.
Are you so sure about that?
Because
what makes you think so?
Because one, we engage in rallies, in campaign, and we listen to people. The same Peter Obi that they are manufacturing all these 419 polls. Have you not seen all his rallies? All the rally Peter Obi has had now, all of them put together, is not up to our rally in Kasina.
Daniel, just a moment. As far as you're concerned...
If you permit me, let me observe that this studio must be awesome because you give us more time in this studio. It must be awesome.
Thank you so much. I mean, not only you, everyone that has stepped into this place think that is a good place. I mean, you could be here for as many hours. I see. It looks more pleasant in when you see it physically than how you see it on the screen. Right. I'd like to ask you, your principal is facing huge problems with the G5 governors, the integrity governors led by Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State. That could have some kind of negative impact on Atiku's presidential chance. Don't you think so?
First of all, they didn't say their integrity, they say their integrity. There's a difference between integrity and integrity. Integrity is on the basis of what we all know, character, steadfastness, forthrightness, but integrity is interest-based. But I want you to know that this is about 7 months after all of the activities of the G5, so quote-unquote the G5. But you can see that even after these 7, getting to 8 months, we are still leading the pack. We are still considered favorites. We are still seen as a party that is to beat. The party that has gotten more confused and disillusioned is the APC, because you have seen how they are fighting each other. You've seen how they are even going to court, suing the federal government. There's nothing that is not going on there because of fear. They are threatening lives, bringing Jagaban soldiers, saying if they don't win, they will go back to June 12th. All these things are fear. It's pantophobic, and now it has become anthrophobic. But the G5 have not affected us. Are we talking with them? We'll continue to talk till the election. Have some of them breached and broken our law? Yes. But you know the supremacy of the party. One of them, of course, the leading and the vocal and vociferous one among them, has given the impression of a macho man. You have covered them. He has done everything in the book. But unknown to us, he ran to court to seek protection. It is like the Constitution of Nigeria. Even the president is not above the Constitution. The president is bound by the Constitution. The party is supreme. Now, we are having breakthrough in the sense that even from Abia, the governor of Abia is receptive. I can guarantee you, Sheun, by the time we come to election, all of the G5 will vote, and they will encourage their people to vote for us. You know why? It is the only party where they will find relevance. Let me ask you, if Wike leaves our party now, assuming, and he goes to APC, where will he find his path? APC, the southern people in the south people in APC have already taken a position. And you can apply that to the rest of the G5. This is a party they have helped in building, the party they have preserved. You see, the anger has been expressed. This is the time to sit down and do business. But I can promise you that PDP is on course to winning. This is the feeling we are getting from all of our engagement. And our own approach to this election is not to disrespect Nigerians like the way APC candidate does. When he went to London and he was asked, what do you have to say about Nigeria? He said, let them rush and make up their mind to vote for me. Even this CBN policy, he said the CBN policy, they are doing it because of me. But in the case of our party, we look at the sufferings of the Nigerian people. We feel for them. We feel for them. We empathize. As I speak to you now, I have not accessed the new money. We're all suffering. But is this suffering going to give a better future? Of course it will. Now, when they say this suffering is the one that is demarcating them.
But how do you also defend that your party or your candidate has supported the policy, which you said is making Nigerians suffer?
Let me tell you, and you can refer me to what he said. Our candidate never supported or opposed the policy. He is not in no position to pass his own judgment of the policy, whether it is good or bad. His focus has been two. One, there must be free and fair election. Government should know how to conduct free and fair election. Two, in the bid to conduct the free and fair election, let the Nigerian people have access to money. Let them not be placed under undue hardship. But this suffering that these people are facing, it is not this policy.
But you have heard what the APC and the leaders in the APC have said, that this policy is being engineered or is being backed by your candidate allegedly and your party for one purpose, to work against the APC, and that your candidate and your party are working internally with some people in the villa against the chances of Bwala Tinubu of the APC.
And they are all over the television houses, and all the anchors have asked them to name. They have not been able to name. Give example, they have not been able to give.
So the reason why I'm asking you is that if your candidate, compared to other candidates who say this suffering cannot go on and this policy does not look well for Nigerians, but your candidate has not outrightly say bad or good, but it does look like he says tacitly, go ahead with the policy. So does it not relate with whether or not the allegations that the APC is making and some of the leaders saying that he has a hand in it?
No, let me tell you the simple logic, and it's not just us. If you go to Peter Obi, and in fact 14 political parties have even threatened that if this policy is extended, they are going to boycott the election. Why? The reason why our candidate does not feel anything against the policy is because if the policy will bring free and fair election, why should our candidate kick against free and fair election? That means we have something else in our mind. What will present the same platform for even the Labour and everybody, that's what it's up for. But in addition, the APC are the ones frustrating. So when you have been reporting, they have been arresting people in conjunction with banks, hoarding the money, assuming these monies were made available to the people through the payment platforms. There would have been no cause for the Nigerians to go through this pain. But in their mind, they felt if we pressurize the people, if we put them under pressure like that, it will compel the president to extend.
Do you feel that this election will be free and fair with all of what INEC has done?
Now, I believe and I have confidence in INEC, but it is not what you say now and leave it, because you have to put an eye on them until the election. That is one. But number two, there are frightening situations that I think that the federal government should be on board and the security agencies to look at. APC and their members have been reeling all kinds of threats. Threats such as if Asuwaju doesn't win, they are going back to June 12th. Threats such as they have Jagaban army. And you see in all parts of the country how they are maiming and dealing with people. Now, that is not good for democracy. And the observers, international observers are on ground. That's number one. Then number two, their bid to even go to court, all in a bid to ensure that they get this policy not to have its course. And let me tell you something about this policy. Nigerians will smile at the end of the day. But we all have to make sure that this election does not permit of the use of money to buy the will and the wishes of the people. They are weaponizing poverty.
As a lawyer, what do you make of the ex parte order given by the Supreme Court on the CBN Naira swap policy?
First, Supreme Court has not decided on the case, right? Supreme Court has not commented on the substance of the matter. Supreme Court granted an ex parte order to preserve, pending when they will hear the interlocutory. Now, there are a lot of issues Supreme Court will consider when that day comes. So these people who go to the market to say APC has won, no, there's no preservation. But there are a lot of things that Supreme Court will have to consider on that day, because that's a court of final instance and a court that listens to everything and applies justice. One, whether having regard to Section 232 of the Constitution, where it provides, when you read all of the preambles, it says insofar as it relates to the existence or extent of a legal right. Existence or extent. Now, the Supreme Court will ask themselves whether, having regard to that, this APC and the state that went to the court have a locus. Because the policy of CBN, does it confer obligation on state or obligation on deposit money
I'd like to ask you, the Supreme Court, based on the provisions of the Constitution, has original jurisdiction in conflict and dispute between the state and the federal government. But in that suit, as filed by the three governors, the CBN is obviously not joined in that suit. In terms of jurisdiction, do you have any cause for worry in the entertainment of that matter by the Supreme Court?
No, you see, I'm a lawyer, and by our discipline, once a matter is sub judice, we do not comment on the strength or weakness. But I can tell you some of the questions that will go around the mind of the judges. So, for example, can order be given against a party to which is not joined to give his side? You know the doctrine of fair hearing. If I'm going to give an order that will affect me, I have to be there. It's elementary. And now,
so you're saying that that order shouldn't have been given ex parte?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that on the D-Day, you see, because the fact that ex parte application was granted does not mean that interlocutory will toe on that part too. Even if you challenge the jurisdiction of the court has to assume jurisdiction to determine whether it has jurisdiction or not.
First, yeah.
So the point I'm saying is that at the Supreme Court as it stands, that they will ask themselves on that day whether CBN, and let me even tell you, the enforcement of the policy involve the SSS, involve the police, involve the ICPC, involve the EFCC.
Yeah.
So are they supposed to be parties?
We are due to go. We're due to go. Finally, let me get your final thought on this election. If it doesn't go the way of your principal, Atiku Abubakar, what do you think are the implications?
So he said it. If it is free and fair and he loses, he will accept it at his fate. But can you look at this election and have a doubt as to the fact that we're winning? You know your strength by the conduct of your opponent. If your opponent is fighting, fidgeting, and gasping for air, do you need a prophet to tell you you're on course? That's what is happening today. 7 months, Atiku has not moved an inch. They said Jackson 5, they say all kinds of things. He stayed resolute.
Daniel Bwala, lawyer and spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you. Isn't it good to see you again? Thank you so much.
And thank your studio. You gave me enough time today.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. But that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow again at 7 p.m. I'm Sean Kimaloe. God bless Nigeria.